What's the best way to actually get your field prepped ready for the seed to go in? Well, I'm going to show you. Now, if you go into the actual menu itself and you got under the growth category on the PDA, you've got all these here. So you've got your stubble tillage, it's a better way of putting it. Then you've got cultivated, ploughed, seedbed, growing, ready to harvest, harvested, remove foliage, and then withered. Okay, fair enough. Now, if you go to the next one, you've also got soil composition. So it's going to tell you what it needs next. Okay, so fair enough. So we're starting off on field 5 here. So it's saying that current state of this field is withered. So what you can do with that is either mulch it or you can plough it. Yeah, so what we're going to do is mulch it, because even if you have got the harvest off properly, it sometimes leaves some stalks up that you need to get rid of, that you can mulch into the ground as well. So what we're going to do is mulch this back into the ground. It just makes it look easier if you've got something decent to look at. So I know on FS25 some of the textures, when you mulch those back, it didn't really seem to change much. So we're doing this as more of a visual thing. So albeit a unfold like that, once you've got your mulching, I've gone for the batwing one. Now in the old menu there, you're going to find the mulchers actually under soil cultivation. There you are, category mulchers. So you go for any one of these, they're all going to do the same sort of thing. I've gone for this one, the Bedner Mulcher MM7000. So once you've got it all unfolded like that, you turn it on. You then, with LB and X, you then do lower it down, LB and B. And then away you go. There we are. It's mulching all the old crop back into the ground, no problem. Now, there is one question I do want to look at on the whole soil composition. So obviously, we're mulching it in, that's no problem. I want to know, does the mulching actually add any of the fertilized states? So let's take all those off. No, it doesn't. All right, fair enough. Right, so we'll carry on then. We're going to get this whole field mulched, and I'll see you back here when I'm done. Right, so the last little bit of mulching, and then we're done for that step. Now, I'm going to say a lot of the steps in this full setup is technically optional. Now, the whole mulching scenario, you're going to get a bit of a bonus, yes, but it's not that much. I think it's probably 5% at the most on your yield. So, depending on how much you value your time rather than the actual bonus yield, you may want to skip that. Entirely up to you. Now, the next stage is also optional. If you were to go into the menu and then go under your game settings, the next one that we're going to be doing is ploughing. So if we used to go to the actual section down below here, so we've got crops and growth. So you got your periodic ploughing there, yes or no. So if you've got that on, then you're going to need to plough every 3 harvests. If you've got it off, you don't need to worry about ploughing. So if you've got it on, right, we need to do some ploughing. So I'm going to go to the shop and get myself a plough. Right, so I've gone and got this plough. And again, you can find these in the shop menu, and you're going to be finding them under the soil cultivation, under ploughs. Pick whichever one you want. It's going to be the same outcome. Obviously, the smaller, it's going to take you longer. The bigger, it's going to take you quicker, but it's going to cost you more money. So what you first need to do, depending on the plough that you've got, you may need to unfold it. So L, B and A. That's going to twist that bit out, and then it's going to put that out on the side. I mean, this is this specific one. So once it's ready, you go to the edge of the field, like that. And I can't see him in a tree. Right. You then lower it down, and then away you go. You're now ploughing the field. So obviously this is going to give you the ploughed state, so you're not going to have to worry about ploughing for another 3 months, well, 3 harvests anyway. And then also on FS25, which would be interesting to see a little bit later, is if it actually stops the weeds growing. Now on 22 it did, so we'll find out once we get a bit further into the whole process. Right, so coming up to the last bit of the ploughing now, and you may notice that there's some tracks in the ground, and I'm going to say to you right now, that doesn't matter. if you look at it, you know, we've got all sorts on the go. We've got tracks where the tyres have been, you know, it's going, ploughs are going that way, ploughs are going that way. It doesn't really matter. That's just from an aesthetic point of view. So in that sense, I wouldn't worry too much about it, because let's face it, we're going to be going over it in a minute anyway. Yeah, right, no problem. Now, there is one other thing with the plough. You can combine fields. So we've got this field here, we own both of them. Obviously you will need to own both, but you can either extend if you've got a bit of extra land, or you can combine them together. So we've got these two fields here, we've got that track in the middle. If you use to press L, B and Y, you're then going to be putting it into create field mode. Then what you do is just lower it down like that. It's then going to basically plough out wherever you're going. So it's going to go from the one field to the next, and it's going to plough out the bit in between. Now you do need to be a little bit careful with that, because if you go and go over a piece that you didn't want to go over, yeah, you can't really undo it unless you exit the game and then start it all again. So you may need to be a little bit careful, especially with these slanted ploughs. If you've got a square on plough, it might be a little bit easier to get the result you want, but you can do. Now if you don't want to do that, just leave it off. LB and triangle, it turns that off, and then you don't plough that bit out anymore. Alright, just bear in mind it can be a little bit hicky if you're combining or creating a new field. Now the next thing on my list to do is going to be to add a layer of fertilizer down. So I'm going to go and get a fertilizer spreader. So I've gone and got this fertilizer spreader. Now there's a few in the category, you can go for whichever one you want. So you've got your fertilizer spreaders here. Any one of those would do the job with solid fertilizer, or you could also go for a sprayer category. You could want to do liquid fertilizer, or you could go down the road of manure spreader. You can put manure on, that will give you a fertilizing state. And also slurry tankers, that's going to be a different option for you. You've got a load of slurry, put that down instead. Now you will need to buy some sort of fertilizer, so whether you go for the solid, you got that there, or you've got different versions for your liquid fertilizer, and you've got some bags as well if you want to go down that route. So you just buy those at the shop, and then you pull alongside, you press left stick in if you're on Xbox like me, and it will fill it up. Now all you do with that, depending on which one you've gone for, you may need to unfold it, and then you do LB and X, turn it on, and away you go. So we'll go along like that. It's giving a slightly different colour to the ground, so you know where you sort of been, and I can't drive straight. Then we'll just go through this, and as well, we'll pull up there, we'll turn it off. You can see the different colours there on the ground. We'll spin it back round. There we are. So you see where we've been, you see where we haven't been. That's one state of fertilising done. So we'll get back in the tractor, look on the map as well. So now we don't need to do the ploughing anymore, so we'll go and turn everything else off like that. There we are. So that first bit that we've been over, that's now fertilised on the one state. Now you need to do it twice, so we'll go and do that. So first off, we're going to do the first load of fertilising. So here we are, coming up to the end of our fertilising shenanigans on this one anyway, and you can see I've totally decimated all the ploughed rows that we had on the go. Ah, dear, oh dear. They're it's looking a bit of a mess, let's put it that way. But to be fair, it's just for aesthetics. You don't need to worry about that. But if we go back into the map, we can now see that the whole field is fertilised fully to the first state, which is great. Now the next thing we need to do is to put some lime down. Yeah, so what we can do is use this same vehicle, well, the same piece of equipment, but obviously it's got fertiliser in at the minute, so we need to empty it out first. So we'll pull over into a suitable place, and we'll then do RB and triangle. It's going to unload all the pallets that we had in there, and we'll move a little bit further forward because it's run out of space. There we are. So we're now empty, so we could still use those fertilisers, well, pallets of fertiliser, for the next stage. So I'm going to leave them there. I'm going to nip up the shop and get some lime. Same sort of thing, you go into the category in the menu, you buy your lime pallets, you fill it up, left stick in as you pull by the side of it. So I'm going to go get some lime, and I'll see you back here. Right, so I've gone and got me lime. So the same thing as with the fertiliser, if you've got to unfold it, LB and A, it'll unfold. and then you do LB and X, turn it on, and with this it's a lot easier to see, I must admit, because it puts a nice white layer of fertilizer down so you can easily see where you've been and you haven't been. Now we have a little look behind there. So there we are, not a problem. Let's get this field done then. So with the last little bit of liming, that's now done. And to be fair, this field's looking a little worse for wear. I mean, I suppose probably because I've got big wide tyres on, that doesn't help, and all the ruts is making me tractor jump around, but alright, it is what it is. I mean, if you want to go for narrows, maybe makes it a little bit easier, entirely up to you. So what we want to do now is we want to unload again. So RB and Y unloads all the lime that's left in there. We're then going to reload with the fertilizer that we've got standing here and go over the field again with the solid fertilizer. I mean, it'd be a lot easier to see because obviously we're now going to be getting rid of, well, let's face it, looks like snow's come. So we're going to get rid of the, well, it's not snow though, is it? It's lime. We're going to get rid of the white field. We're going to turn it back to brown. And then we can carry on with the next stage. So I'm going to get the field all fertilised again. And then I'll see you back here. So before we actually get completely to the end, we'll turn it off there. We have a look. You see the difference. We've got the dark blue, which has been double fertilised. And we then got the light blue, which hasn't. But what I think is interesting as well is because we limed and then I've gone back over it doing the fertiliser again. The bits where you've driven over the lime, it's left a slightly lighter texture than when we just drove over it pre-lime. That's ace. Oh, I do like that. Right, let's get this field finished off then. So we'll turn it back on like that. We'll then just roll through. It's going to take off all the lime that's on. Well, I say take off. It's going to leave it there, but obviously as a visual experience, it's going to change the texture of the field. So we'll spin it back round like that. Is that going to get all of it? Yes. I believe there was one little bit just over here I missed. So there you are. So now it's not got the lime on top of it as like the top layer. The actual tracks are staying dark brown. That's ace. I would do like that. So now we look at the field and it's fully fertilised. So we're ready to go. Apart from one little bit down the bottom. Oh, come on. Right, we'll leave that for another day. So the lime itself, that's done. Fertilising is now done. We've done the ploughing. It doesn't need that. So we've got the top three. Well, there's 3 of the top 4 done. When we've got weeds, we can put that icon on. It's not showing any weeds. Now in FS22, that's because if you ploughed, you didn't get weeds. So we'll have to see if any of that comes on a little bit later. The next stage is going to be it needs cultivating. Now, technically, you could seed straight onto the ploughed state, entirely up to you. But normally, in real life, you put a cultivator over it. So I'm going to go get one of those. But before I do, there is an optional extra. I say optional extra. If we go down to the bit where we had the ploughing state, you can actually turn off the lime requirement. So if you don't want to do the lime, you can turn it off. Just the same as the weeds. If you don't want to do the weeds, you can turn those off as well. Entirely up to you. You play the game how you want. Again, entirely up to you. You could just go run a seeder over this now and it'd be fine. Not a problem. But I'm going to go get a cultivator anyway. We're going to fully prep this field as you really should do. So I've got the cultivator on the back of my tractor, and just like everything else so far, in the construction menu, in the actual vehicle menu itself, and then under soil cultivation, you've got cultivators there. You pick whichever one you want. As with everything else we've seen before, the smaller, the cheaper, but obviously it's going to take you longer. So if you go for the bigger ones, yeah, it could take you a while if you've got a big field. But like everything else before as well, LB and A to unfold it if it needs it. And then you just position yourself wherever you want to start. LB and B, lower it down. You don't need to turn the cultivator on. It's ready to go. And then there we are, cultivating the field. So I'll see you at the end once it's all done. It's the last little bit of the cultivating and then we're done. And to be fair, that looks a lot better. Now we've actually concentrated on it. The tire tracks are very few and far between. Some at the edge, but yes, okay, not as many as before. Now the next stage again is going to be an optional one. So you see these stones here. Yeah. Now, they don't make any difference to the yield of your crop coming off the ground, but they will make a difference to the longevity of your equipment. So, to keep everything as low maintenance as possible, you may want to get those stones off the ground. So, I'm going to go and get a stone picker from the shop. So, here we are with our stone picker. Now, again, you're going to find these in the shop under soil cultivation and then stone pickers. Now, there's only one as of recording this video, the Aloe Scorpio 550, but no problem. I imagine there's going to be some coming out at some point. So, as with everything else you've seen before, if you need to unfold it, L, B, and A. So, it's going to put these sides out like that. And then you just turn it on, L, B, and X. Lower it down, L, B, and B, and then away you go. So, it's going to go through and pick up all the stones off the field. So, make sure we do actually get all the field. There we are. Right, so it's given a little bit of a different texture. So, like slightly darker than the cultivated one. Alright, let's get the field de-stoned. Right, so just before we finish up getting all the stones off, if we go into the menu there, you'll see these yellow dots. Now, they were all over the field before we started. We've still got a little bit left where we haven't done yet. Now, the yellow ones are going to be small stones, orange are going to be medium, and red are going to be big stones. Now, these small stones, yellow ones, can be pushed back into the ground with a roller. Orange and red, so medium and big, they are going to need to be picked up with a stone picker like we've got here. Now, there is the option of turning it off. So if you go into the settings menu on the game settings and then down to your crop area, you got the option there, field stones, on or off. Entirely up to you. You play the game how you want to play it. So if you want to go for a more realistic version, you have the stones turned on. If you don't want to deal with them, you just have them turned off. That's the great thing about this game. You play it how you want to play it. You can go for the ultra realistic and have everything turned on, or go for the basic and have it all turned off. That's what I like about this game. Just give the options. So there you are. That's all the stones gotten off that field. Now, the ruts are back. Yeah, because we've gone over it, because it's not giving ourselves a finished state, we've got loads of tyre marks, treads, whatever, all over the field. Now, the last stage, which is going to be, again, an optional extra. Now, if we go into the menu, then you got the option down here. We'll have a look. We've got no option for the rolling. That's because it does give you a yield bonus. Not that much. Yeah, again, it's a bit like the mulching. It's going to give you probably at the most 5% extra. But if you really wanted to go the full bull, the whole hog, get in the field fully prepped as best you can, you're going to need to go and get your roller. So I'm going to go to the shop and I'll see you back here. Right, so I've got my roller, and again, in the menu, and you're going to find it under yield improvements. So under this category, we've only got 2 at the minute of recording of this video. I mean, you got your option. So you've got your 12.3, which is what I've gone for. And then you've got your 27.7 version. So with this, obviously optional, it's going to give you a small improvement. L, B, and A, unfold it. Now, if you was to go down the full ball route, just use it. You're going to get the most out of it. But again, it's entirely up to you. So you wait for it to finish doing its unfold animation, and then away you go. You don't have to lower this one down, it's already there. And then once you get into your field, it's giving you a very nice finished state. It's getting rid of all the tracks, and then once you're done, I mean, if you do it properly and you don't have any turnarounds at the end, you can get it completely finished, which is ace. So I'm going to get this field done, and I'll see you back here when we're finished. Right, so the last little bit there, and now we've got a fully prepped, fully rolled field. All the lines in the same direction. There's no tyre marks, and it's perfect. The field is just perfect, and you can't say fairer than that. Now, obviously, some of these steps are not 100% needed. If you wanted to really go for as quick as possible, you could just go down the road of either ploughing and cultivating. You do one or the other, so you got something for the seed to go straight in the ground with. So you could either plough and then seed straight away, and then you could either cultivate and then seed straight away. Entirely up to you. Or you could go down the route of doing everything like we have here and getting the perfect field. It is what it is. I mean, it's ready to go. Or the next stage now is just putting seed in the ground. And then you just carry on. Obviously, this is now going to give us the full output, the full yield for the year. But you don't have to do that. What's great about this game is you can play it how you want to play it. If you want to go ultra realistic, then you can do every stage like we've done here today. If you want to do the bare minimum, you know, you just run a cultivator over it and then just seed straight away. It's entirely up to you. You don't even technically have to fertilize the field. I mean, you're going to lose a load of yield, mind you, by not doing that. But it's entirely up to you. Or you could do it this way. Well, that's the great thing about this. Oh, fair enough.